It takes a village to lift you higher. We teach the way, feed the fire. It takes a village.
Welcome to another episode of the Village Podcast where people help people. I'm your host, Kendall Lumpkins, and I have somebody with us today that's very, very special to me. We met a few years ago at Pearl River Community College, and this brother, this friend of mine has been somebody like my right-hand man that I could call on whenever I needed anything. And it's not that he's a national championship coach. It's not that he's the coach of the year several times, but what I value more than anything about him is his heart, how much he cares, and his relationship with Christ. So y'all help me welcome to the show my brother, my friend, Michael Avalon.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
Excited to visit with you a little bit.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you for coming, man. I knew when we started this, I know whenever I talk about the village and people will look at it, well, I wonder, man, what him and Coach Avalon, what are they up there talking about? Like, we do life together, right? So, like, whenever I done had some hard spots in my life, I could pick up that phone and call you. And it's kind of rare because, you know, we started working together at PRCC doing FCA, and I'm doing some leadership stuff, but I never imagined our relationship to grow this way in this form of fashion. So, man, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. And that's always, it's such a blessing, and it gives you a sense of confidence when you have those folks in your life that you can trust and lean on, and also coming from different places and different walks and different experiences.
Yeah.
And that's what, has helped me. And that's something I truly appreciate, is having people like you in my life, because there's no way we can do these things that we do in life by ourselves. And, thankfully, the Lord put certain people in our lives.
Yeah. And when you talk about doing stuff alone, man, like I know, you're a coach that I respect, that I admire. And I see you don't mind bringing different people into your program to help. Like, where does that come from? Like, that sense of knowing I can't do this by myself. I need a village around me. Like, where does that come from? Because on the other side of it, I know people that's like, no, it's my way, the highway. I don't need no help. And I see them sink the ship a lot too.
Yeah, and I think that's a very limited thought process there. And, one of the things I remind myself is that I'm fortunate to coach 35 different people from different families, different experiences. And so for me, when you can bring somebody in and give them a different viewpoint, and maybe your experiences are if all they ever hear are my experiences, then I'm limiting what they can learn and grow and mature. And so that's one of the reasons. Now you got to bring the right people in too.
Yeah,
that's my job.
Not just anybody.
Right. You want to make sure that you make the right moves and you introduce the right people into your program. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the very first day that I met you. I said, hey, come on, Kendall.
Yeah, right.
But hearing you talk and seeing you live and seeing you, how you are with Makai and your family, those are things that go right along with who we are in our program and what we look for and what we want, our young men to grow and mature. And I give, I mentioned Dr. Brewer, and that it just came to mind when we were talking about this, is, one of his big things with everybody in our athletic department, it's kind of that, the AD talk now.
Yeah.
We want, it's not just about making good baseball players. It's about helping them grow into the best men and hopefully fathers one day, and mothers and as they go in life. And so, that's why it's so important to make sure that we help prepare them for the things that are going to come up. And who better than somebody that's, going through that, currently. So that's why, and that's why we're so appreciative of it.
Yeah, man. And so, what made you want to coach? Like, cause coaching, like, I know you was a player,
right?
But like, man, what made you want to be a baseball coach?
Yeah, funny story is my dad growing up was a basketball coach in Jackson, and so I didn't even play baseball until I was 12 years old. It was the first time I played, any type of team baseball.
Yeah,
I was a basketball player and realized, about that time was I wasn't quite quick enough to do as well as I wanted in the game of basketball, but watching my dad coach, the funny thing is my dad told me, do not coach, whatever you do. He wanted me to be a lawyer. Mm-hmm. But watching him and watching the passion that he had for it, my senior year of college is when I finally decided, hey, that's what I wanted to do. I got a degree in business, thought I was just going to the business world. And make some money, so to speak, and do something like that. But when it came time to potentially give up the game of baseball, I realized I wasn't ready for it. And I give my dad a lot of that credit, just the passion and the love he had for winning, but more importantly for his players and, for impacting their life. I can't tell you when my dad passed how many people talked about the impact that he had on their life. He also did that as a teacher, which is special too. But as a coach, that's one of the great responsibilities that we have and the great opportunities that we have is to impact, young men in their, in their entire life. And so that's something I'm very thankful for. And what a fulfilling job that is. And I'm very thankful for that. But that's how it kind of started. I was going into the business world, had no plans of coaching. Then Coach Holloman and Coach Reynolds at West Alabama asked me to stay on as a graduate assistant, and here we are.
So like when you talk about the impact outside the game, because it's gonna stop for everybody one day, and like what drives you to not just focus on when? I mean, and I know how competitive you are. Like, man, you talk all the time, and I know you want to win. However, there's a part of this that I remember kids, like players coming back. I can remember Graham Crawford talking to him on the phone. He's at Alabama, and he like, man, I miss that place. Like, I still hear Coach Avalon in my ear, hey, don't walk past that paper, pick that paper up.
Right.
Like, this is stuff that I'm saying I've experienced because of their stories, but like, what makes it more than just the game? What makes it more than winning for you?
Well, the things you talk about, those phone calls that you get afterwards. Just yesterday, we had a couple guys at the field, and I hadn't seen him in a couple years, but we picked up right where we left off, and seeing that, they were so thankful to be back, and how proud they were of Pearl River and the place and their time with us. And so those are the things that mean a whole lot to you. That's funny. You talk about the winning side of it, and lately. Just over the holidays, that's as a coach when you start to sit and reflect and get yourself ready for the next year, which we've been doing that, but this has been a very, very busy semester for me personally. And so this time off has been really good. But, one of the things as a coach and success, you don't think a whole lot about the success, the past successes. It's about the next year. And that's where you have to continue to stay hungry, and you just got to continue to, still have that desire to be, a champion, but through that. So I don't think a whole lot about winning. That's not in the success that we've had. What I do think about is those players, and I think about preparing them. Just before we got here this morning, I shot a text to all the guys about, we're about a month away. It's getting time. Make sure you're working, and so that's also trying to help them. Get ready and to lock in, because they can't wait until a month. It's got to start.
Got to start now.
So those are the things. But the players, without a doubt, are the ones that are most special to me, and those and their families. And that's what keeps me loving what I do.
So this desire, because it's easy to get in your spot where you at. Like, as much as you've won at Pearl River Community College with the staff and the players that you've had, like what keeps you like moving the needle, like, because you could say, oh, well, we've done enough, right? But like, there's something in you that says, nah, let's recruit better, let's get more talent, let's keep building on this.
Well, I think that's one of the things we talk about in our program all the time is just having pride in what you do, and I think that's in who you are every day. I don't, thankful for the successes that we've had, but I don't think much about those. I think about, what do I have to do today to get better? What's my job today? How am I going to be successful today? And that's as a father, as a coach, as an athletic director, all those things. And I think you can be lazy and you can be complacent. And you can stop working every day, and you're not going to grow, and you're not going to be successful. And so for me personally, it's about every day I've got something to do. I hate sitting around the house. I told Kayla recently, and it's been good every once in a while. I mess with folks, Dr. Brewer and other folks, about sharpening the axe. You got to take time to do that every once in a while. But, I want to be going, I want to be moving, I want to be doing, I want to be getting better. But I think the big thing is just having, what you do on a daily basis, and making sure you go up, you get up every morning, your feet hit the ground, and you're working and you're getting better. And then when your feet get off the ground at the end of the day, you feel like you accomplished something, and you've done what you're supposed to. And I think that as a coach, as a father, those are the same. You got to get up, you got to get better each day.
And so you mentioned your kids, and I remember talking to you before. I had no idea Makai would fall in love with baseball.
Mhm.
We played basketball. Everybody in my family were basketball guys,
Right.
and he enjoys basketball too. But like he wants to play baseball more than he wants to do anything else. And man, I struggled for a while because I was trying to figure out how can I help my son be tough, because baseball is a tough game.
Absolutely.
Like it's hard, and so. We grew up and it's 4 boys in the house, so you're going to have to get tough or you're going to get beat up all the time. So I got that through being around some of the family struggles, life hitting us, and it's hard. And so I was praying like, God, please help me. Give my son something so he's not soft, that he can handle adversity and go through challenge, because I don't want to be overbearing and push him to a place where he despises me or don't like me.
Right.
And then he fell in love with the game of baseball. So where I'm going at is, man, you've had to walk your players through some tough times with this game, right? Because not only do you see them struggle, you have to deal with their struggle. So what are ways that you pushing kids to say, hey, man, I know you in a slump. Like, I know you struggle, but what are you doing to help them be better?
Great question. The first thing is, what's tough about baseball for me, and I've learned this as a parent more so, and also as a coach, watch ESPN, and you get to see all these players going and play at the next level. I'm more nervous watching those guys sitting in my backyard than I am when I'm in the dugout with them. Yeah. Because that spotlight is on them, and as a parent, that's when I've learned that as well. Watching my kids go out and play and be the guy in the center of the attention, and in baseball especially, it's a very tough sport. There's one guy pitching, all eyes are on the pitcher. There's one guy in the box, he strikes out, in football, which it's got its own tough parts. It's a tough game, obviously, physically, but there's a line, there's a running back, he's, create hole. But in baseball, you're sitting in the box by yourself, and those eyes are on you. So for parents, that's very tough, and also most importantly, it's tough on those players because it's such an individually based game throughout a team concept. And so what you try to do is we have to educate them. I mean, baseball is a lot like life, and that's cliche, and people say that a lot, but it is. There's a lot of tough times in life, and there's a lot of failures that you go through, and it's how you respond. As long as Makai and those other guys get up the next day and go back to work and continue to get those reps, they're going to continue to grow and mature and become better players. And so that's what we teach them. And another cliche people use is the process, but that's something. It's what I just mentioned a second ago about how I do my life. It's the process. It's getting up every day and going to work. It's getting up every day and trying to get better. Well, same thing in the game of baseball. I tell them all the time. I hear it repeatedly. Baseball is a game of reps. You got to get your reps. You got to punch the clock. You got to go to work. And if you can do that, it's going to pay off.
You even have a clock at the
absolutely old school punch clock. And we check those things, but we want to get in our program. We don't have to check them when we know they're being punched. And you want to run a business that you don't worry about the guys punching the clock. I mean, the clock's punched because you got the right people. So, but again, that's part of growing. That's part of maturing. But I do feel like those sophomores that leave our program, I don't worry if they're clocking in or not. I know they're going to work. I know that's become who they are. But again, that's how you win. That's how you handle failures, is getting up every day, going to work, punching the clock.
With all this stuff you got going on, I'm saying athletic director, head baseball coach, like you're still a husband, you're still a father. Like how do you balance? Like because I know we live in this social media or this sports culture, and I love it. I love sports. I love social media because we get a chance to impact people. But what has always drawn me to you is the fact that your family is always there. Like, and here's what I'm saying. I know there's some stuff that they miss because of how dedicated and focused you are. So how do you manage that? How do you manage being a husband, being a father, and doing all of this other stuff that you do?
Well, depending on who you ask, obviously, as you ask my mother-in-law, she could probably say I do a better job. No, just kidding. And I mentioned her because something happened just recently over Christmas, and there was a thing. She made a comment that you're always on the phone. That there's times, and I'm present and I'm with my family, but not always does our life as coaches hit pause. We're not always allowed to do that. For me, and some people may disagree with this statement that I'm going to make, I love my family. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be involved. That's always priority number 2. God, God, my faith, my family, and the baseball. That's our priorities. It's something we wear on our wrist this year. And that's what we teach to our guys, is that you got to have your faith first, and that's most important. Then your family, and then baseball, and then yourself actually is number 4. But you can throw that in with baseball. But one of the things that happened over Christmas, I was on my phone, and I'm sending out Merry Christmas text, not only to my players, but to the recruits for the 26 class and the 27 class. Those are important. Well, some say, well, I'm not taking away necessarily from my family. My family understands what I'm doing. Those folks in my family want to win. Brooks reminds me of that all the time. Hey, Dad, you got to get back. You got to, Tucker will make little comments but those are good to know that they're bought in with you. They're with you. They understand. But those point I was making about the text of those players is, a Merry Christmas text from a coach means a lot. It's important. It's like a Merry Christmas text from a dad. Those are within the same thing. And so for me, that's where it does get difficult sometimes, making sure that I have enough time for all those things, but I have to get them done. That's my job. That's my responsibility to do the best I can. That's what those guys deserve. Coaches impact lives. We know that. And that's one of the great opportunities that we have on Christmas morning. I want those guys to hear from me as well and say, hey, Merry Christmas. Thank God. He sent Jesus down this morning, and happy birthday, Jesus. Those were the parts of the text that I sent out on Christmas morning to our players, to our recruits. And I think that's valuable. And I think my family's proud of that. And so, it is difficult at times to balance all those things. But again, I'm not perfect at it by no means, but it is something I do take a lot of pride in, and want to make sure that, I do the best that I can there.
Yeah, because, and I don't think the what draws me or what makes us connected like this is not about perfection for me, because I don't think that nobody can possibly be like you and I have shared failures and hardships in our lives and our marriages and with our kids. And so, but I think that from looking on the outside, looking in, and I know everybody got the issues, like I just appreciate that you got all of that stuff in the right priority. Because, and I think I told your players before that one of the worst things you could ever do is climb this proverbial ladder to success. I got this from a book, Stephen Covey. He said, and you climb this ladder and you get to the end of your life and you realize the ladder was up against the wrong wall. Like that's scary to me.
Absolutely.
But I'm saying you've always went back to family. Like whenever I go to games, man, Brooks, Harper, right?
Yeah.
Tucker, they there. Kayla, they there. So it's like, even if you don't feel it, I think you're doing a better job at it than you'll admit, because you got gaps, right? And as men, we're going to always try to figure out where we're missing and where we're lacking. However, the reality is, man, I think you're doing an outstanding job at trying to balance that and letting your kids be a part of the process. Man, I watch how these players are with your kids.
Yep.
Tucker out there on the field.
Right.
Not too long ago, I saw a picture. Man, Harper on the field got a volleyball in the hand, right? So you're bringing them and making them a part of the family because they're right in your backyard.
Yep.
So that's something that I value, because I know if you put all of those things before God, like you're headed for failure.
Right.
You're headed for destruction.
Right. And you mentioned one thing, the gaps that we have as men, and that's true. And man, there's, can we be better? Absolutely. Are we perfect? Without a doubt, no. I mean, I make sure our guys know that, that's one of the tough things of being the top of a program, and the coach is that you are a representation of everybody. And so I've had to grow and mature and do better there. But for the gaps, I think this is important for all our players to hear, all our young men, is, making sure you pick that, the right woman. She's the one that stands in those gaps for you. She's the one that makes those, that has your kids there. She's the one that, helps your, your mom when she's sick and different things like that. And so having that right woman, that's one of the biggest decisions, a man will make in his life. And so I think seeing, our guys, seeing my family there, that's purposeful, and our assistant coaches, with their families and their kids running around, you know, the field at different times. That's important for those guys to see, because we can, you know, we love baseball. We want to win. We want to win at the highest level, and it's something very important to us. But it's always going to be faith, family, and then baseball.
Yeah, and how challenging is it shifting gears from a leadership perspective, right? Because you know it ain't always easy, right? I'm saying you done had some players that you probably say, not a good fit. And whenever I go speak to people, I always talk about the Remember the Titans movie. And I asked the question like, hey, man, what's the best part of the movie for you? And some people talk about different scenes, but it was me, like whenever Bertier cut his teammate, cut his homeboy, cut his friend that he had done life with, because he knew he wasn't a good fit. So like, when do you realize, hey, man, this person, this player, this coach may not be best for faith, family, in baseball? Like, how do we make a decision to say it's probably best that you journey on to something else?
Well, you know, a lot of that you want them to take care of in the recruiting process, make sure you get the right player. For us at the junior college level, and I would tell a lot of coaches, even at the higher levels, to be careful of saying, hey, we're at this level, we can't do this part. But it is about development, you know. It's about who you're around every day, and it's about iron sharpening iron. And so what we want to see is we want to see that growth of that player, that change that he undertakes or goes through. You know, there's certain cores that we look for in a player of, you know, their characteristics of who they are. But just like myself, they're not going to be perfect, and they're going to have to grow and mature. And so that's our job, and that's our players' job, and that's our captain's jobs on the team, is to make sure, you know, the first thing I go to when I, you know, have issues with, you know, I go talk to the captains. Hey, what's going on there? You know, players are always going to know before I know what the deal is and any issues. And so it takes me a lot to move on from a player, because thankfully a lot of people have stuck with me and through my growth and through my maturity over the years. And I'm still doing that. And so I'm about to be 44 years old, and there's still times I need people to work with me and bear with me. And Patrick Oates is one that'll tell you that. You know, being the athletic director, I wear him out now, and I'm, you know, over the break, he's probably happy that his phone's not ringing currently, but you know, I think all throughout life we need those guys that believe in us and are willing to help us. And so I can't, you know, that question is tough for me to answer, because I don't feel like I give up on many folks a whole lot. And because I feel like it's my responsibility, our responsibility in our program to help these guys grow. If we ask them to be there, we're going to give them everything we got. You know, we're going to help them until the very end. Most guys choose not to be a part of our program, maybe because of those reasons. But for us, we're going to work at it, and we're going to push them. We're going to hope to make them better. We're going to help them become the best versions of themselves. Yeah, man, and I think that's what's inspiring to me, because, you know, not giving up on people is what God does for us every day. Absolutely. And I asked the question not looking for an answer, just figuring out, because some coach may listen to this, like some father, some mother, somebody may hear it and need to know, hey, if you recruited that kid, or that kid is in your sphere of influence, you have a responsibility to make sure that you shepherd that the right way. Right. So we talk about not giving up on players. We just added a mentorship part to this team for this year. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Man, it's been really cool. You know, it's one of those things when we talked about it at the beginning was, you know, obviously most people would look at it and say, hey, it's for the younger guys. And my thought on it was, when we started talking about it, was, man, I think our guys, I think myself can get a lot out of that. Because when you have that accountability and you're responsible for, you know, setting the example and for helping someone, and you're having those conversations about what to do and what not to do with a younger person, maybe as a coach to a player, you know, you realize the value and the importance of what you do and how you do it. And so for our guys, that's what I was so excited about, was for them to have the opportunity to lead and to grow and to mature. And know that those little eyes are looking up at them, watching them, and you know, they've got to help them along the way. It's been so cool, just you know, the amount of people that have reached out about that, and again, this is the early stages of it, and we want it, you know, to get better, and get more detailed. And but it's been a great experience so far.
Yeah, and so whenever you mention the reverse part of it, like I knew that would help too, because man, I'm always like, I living my life early on, man, I ain't know nobody was looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had no idea people were watching my life until I was 21 years old, and a guy that's in high school comes to me and says, "Hey man, I wanted to be just like you whenever I grew up. Like you had the money, like you had the girls." And immediately I was like, man, look at what I showed him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm saying, so at 21 years old, life didn't drastically change, but that was a seed that was planted in me that was like, man, somebody's always watching your life and you're not just living for you.
Right.
How you show up, how you live, what you do, somebody's watching, and whether you want to be in that light or not, if you call yourself a Christian, God has called you to be more for other people than yourself, and somebody's always watching. And I think that's what the kids are going to get out of it more than anything, the players.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, how do I respond whenever something don't go my way on this field? How do I show up in adversity? Because Makai looking, like I talk to Makai all the time, hey man, you talk to Dalton lately? And he like, yeah, man, we was texting. And so it's good because I've reached out to Dalton about, hey, his struggles and having somebody, because I know I can't do this by myself.
Right.
I know I can't. That's why this village for me is so important, because I've called and asked you questions about, hey, man, how do I help him in this space? So, man, I think it's going to be something that eventually grows, and these kids as well as the players will be able to look back on and be thankful that they did it, because now that it helped them mature much faster than they probably would have before that.
As we both know as dads, sometimes they don't always want to listen to us. But
Oh, man.
you put a guy like that in their life that's going through it with them and experiencing it, the failures and the successes of the game and how you handle both. But to see those guys that are on the stage that they want to be one day, and also again it holds our guys accountable. So for both sides, it's been a blessing. It's been a great thing.
So, man, the season right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
How you feeling?
Good. Excited. Anxious. Again, when we have the success that we've had, it's about continuing. And when we understand the pressure and the expectation that comes with that. And so for one of the things we want to try to do is at the coaching staff is relieve that and just get guys to show up the same way every day, and not because we've got a very, very tough schedule, and I don't know what idiot made the schedule, but
the AD probably,
we'll blame him. And I'm excited to see this group and how close they are. It's going to be a smaller group, which I'm excited about. One of our smallest rosters that we've had. We like the talent of it, and I like the fact that it's a small roster, and that generally in our game that can be a benefit, because there's no question. You asked me, the most successful teams that I've coached has been the closest. It's been the ones that where that brotherhood and that bond is super tight and strong, and they trust each other and they lean on each other. And so I'm excited to see how this group does.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, man. Like so, sports been a part of my life since I can remember. And do you ever sense how baseball is helping people like outside of the dugout? Like I'm saying, the families, the people that come to the game. You know how much like people that much joy that they get out of just watching PRCC baseball. I remember Chris Wallace and them, like them guys. They would be there no matter what's happening, and it was like a bright spot in their life whenever they show up to those games. So are you aware that PRCC, the athletic department, what Dr. Brearwood and you all have built is like helping bring people closer together and build lasting memories?
Absolutely. I can't tell you over the years how many times I've gotten the statement or the comment, man, out of all the years of baseball for him, these were our best years. And that's coming from moms and dads. And we enjoy these the most. Family's important to us, and we appreciate that following and that, that the folks are there, and, we want them involved. We want them to be on the ride with us, so to speak.
Yeah.
When we go to, hopefully get back to Enid, Oklahoma soon, we want them to go to Enid, Oklahoma, and literally, and even at home when they're sitting there, if it's grandparent or whatever, we want them to be proud that, Pearl River's in Enid, Oklahoma, or won a championship or had success. We want them to be a part of it. I give Mr. Carey a lot of credit for that too.
Yeah.
countless
Oh, man,
comments about him and the job that he does. And,
Yeah.
and again, that starts at the top with our administration, and that's through all our sports. It's not just baseball; it's basketball. It's Coach Meeks in softball. It's across the board. Pearl River is, you ask anybody about Pearl River, one of the first things they're going to say it's special. And then they're going to follow it up with because of people and because of people that are there. And so that's something that again I'm humbled by, but I'm very proud of and very thankful for.
Yeah, because if we do all of this stuff, I think about it from a Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I didn't know this. However, Brother Mitch told me, he said, "Man, I don't know if you know that y'all have the largest gathering for Fellowship of Christian Athletes in the state of Mississippi for JUCO, and it's not too far off from even universities." Mm-hmm. And so, what I've become aware of is from a society perspective, people don't think it could be Jesus first and then winning second, and then you can succeed at both. I just think that we're doing that, and it's a model. Right. Not so much that we started out trying to do that. Right. It's just that people really care. Man, I'm saying I went to school at Pearl River Community College in 2004. So my love for the place came from them being the best 2 years of my life. And then I find myself back working, back helping out, back being involved because of the people there. That's what makes this special. It's not, we're just checking a box off. Hey, you're just a number. I've never sensed that from our people down there, that people don't matter. People make this stuff work. People make this stuff mean something.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, it's from top to bottom, and that's what's special. You get the same feel. You go to an FCA event, everybody's there. You go to a basketball game, everybody's there. You go to a football game, everybody's there. You go to a baseball game, there's people everywhere supporting each other, because when Pearl River's playing, we're playing. It's not about just this team or that team. At our FCA, it's for our athletes, and so they support it and they show up. I have a saying that I always say, and I didn't make this saying up, obviously, but I think you went off the field long before you went on it, and that's something that our guys hear a bunch is doing the right thing off the field, being the right people. Again, they're not perfect. I'm not perfect, but that's our goal is perfection. It comes to my mind when I think about one of my dad. My dad always told me, you're gonna shoot for the moon, but if you don't get there, grab a star. Well, it's kind of like shooting for perfection. We know we're not going to be perfect, but we can be up there with them, and we can make people proud. And I think that's something that ultimately is you asked me about this, or you mentioned maybe talking about purpose, and so I've been thinking about that the last couple of days. What's your purpose? And for me, my purpose is to be. Is to make the people that brought me here proud, and that's the good Lord and my parents, and my name, and so how I go about my business every day, and continuing to grow and mature and develop as a person, as a Christian, as a father, as a coach. I want to make people proud in doing that. Yeah. The good Lord blessed me with some talents. It's something I had this talk with my boys and Harper the other day about the talents and what you do with them, and Matthew. And at the end of that, he says, job well done, good and faithful servant, because you used your talents and you made them better. And so, again, I fall short of that and I want to be better, but that's my purpose is to make the good Lord proud, and to, make the Avalon name and my parents proud.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So how does Coach Michael Avalon want to be remembered?
Good question. As a man of faith, as a family man, and a coach that made an impact on his players.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, look, I think the impact or the legacy is happening day in and day out, right? It ain't like we get to the end of our life and say, you know what, I wish I could have done that different and it changed. No, what I do every day is making an impact. And man, I've told you this before, but I don't take our relationship lightly. Mm-hmm. We come from two different walks of life, but man, if I need anything or you need anything, we've always been Absolutely. A call away. And it started at Pearl River Community College.
Yep.
It started at us having simple conversations about God and life and where we are. And man, I just for one want to tell you, like, I appreciate what you stand for. I appreciate the man that you are and what you bring to the table, man, because my son is even inspired. Hey, Daddy, we going to a baseball game? And he know he going to see Coach Avalon because Coach Avalon going to always look out for him. And people that help my family, people that help my kids make it mean more for me. So, man, I just want to say I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you for joining.
Always.
Appreciate you for coming
Same
on the
here.
show, man.
And, you know, you put the right people in your life, they make you better.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that sits in our locker room. Iron sharpens iron. And I think as men, that's something that's important, is having guys like you that we can call and we can say, hey, man, help me through this, or you know, help me be better. And so and I'm thankful for a lot of those folks in my life. And you know, it is about an army that surrounds you and pushes you and also holds you accountable. It picks you up when you need it. So again, I'm thankful for you and for our relationship and friendship.
Yeah.
And you know, that ain't changing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Well, look, that wraps up another episode of the Village Podcast, where people help people. So thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page.
We teach the